It's time for the message.
Yeah, so for more than 60 years, Childhelp has been dedicated to prevention, intervention, and treatment of child abuse, and has helped over 11.5 million abused and neglected children.
Yeah. Our guest today has more than 20 years of executive leadership experience in the nonprofit sector. He leads the national fundraising and marketing efforts for Childhelp, our favorite charity. Please welcome Michael Medoro. Michael, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
Oh, well, this is fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So how long have you been with Childhelp?
I've been with Childhelp for a little more than 8 years.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, you're entrenched in the deep of it. We're kind of on the outside and just seeing what you guys are doing, and you guys are doing some amazing things.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah. So I want to get started with some get to know you.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to ask you a dozen questions, and these are rapid fire. I haven't prepped you. I haven't told you what any of these questions are. So this is off the top of your head, but this is a chance for our audience to get to know each of our guests on a more personal level. So are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I think he's ready.
A dozen questions.
All right. Here we go. What is your lucky number?
18.
Where did you grow up?
San Jose, California.
What was your first car?
A Hyundai Excel hatchback.
Yeah. Nice. What emoji do you use the most?
The thumbs up.
All right. What superpower would you give your wife?
Oh.
Something to think about.
Superpower I would give my wife. That's a hard one. Fly.
She can fly.
She can fly.
Boom. She's out of there.
She's out of
there. Where is your favorite place to go on vacation?
Puerto Rico.
Nice.
How did you meet your wife?
My wife and I met at Easter Seals, which is a nonprofit organization helping people with disabilities. We both work together in the same unit.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And what is your favorite sports team?
The New York Jets.
All right, we're done. No.
So's our season. Again.
All right, how about this? Who's your favorite band?
Oh, Metallica.
Metallica, love it. All right, so what is your go-to karaoke song?
My go-to karaoke song.
Everyone has a go-to karaoke song.
Wow.
I'm going to force you to do karaoke. You say, play.
Wow. Drawing a blank on that. Jimmy Buffett usually comes on up and we start singing Jimmy Buffett.
And everybody's singing. All right, very good. We'll take it. How about, this is pushing the Wayback Machine. Roosevelt's like, what is that? What was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Oh, Smurfs or the Flintstones?
Yeah, this has a lot of no.
Yeah.
All right. And
I'm
last
short.
question, number 12. If you could be in an action movie, what movie would it be?
Oh, an action movie? It'd have to be a Rambo or an Expendables.
Oh, you just...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big Stallone fan.
There you go.
So, yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you so much for hitting our dozen questions.
Thank you.
It's really, really important for us to laugh. I've got a segment here that says, how important it is that we bring in laughter as we dive into some of these very, very serious subjects. So we appreciate that. How important is laughter and humor for you and all that you do?
Oh, laughter is a huge part of not only what we do, but how we get through what we do. Yeah. Child abuse is a hard subject. It's not a subject that anybody enjoys talking about. It's not a subject that anybody wants to think has any close proximity to their own lives, to their family, and to their friends. But the reality of the situation is that in America today, 5 children die every day as a result of child abuse. And that's what we know about. Yeah. We know that there's far more greater numbers of children that are actually affected by and we're losing their lives as a result of child abuse. But that's what we know about. So when you're in an industry and when you're in a profession where you are working alongside some of the most phenomenal people, biggest hearts, biggest expertise, giving of themselves in every way possible to address a subject matter that is as hard as that, humor is a vital way for us to be able to break some of the stress and tensions around it and bond with one another.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's, we talk about appropriate humor. I hope that nothing in these questions and us laughing and all that there's nothing targeted towards the subject here, but it allows us to kind of, loosen up and bring that levity into our lives. The importance of humor in our lives is just mind-blowing how important that it is.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to see how my wife addresses the superpower thing.
Wait, you said
what? You said fly. Why did you say fly? I would
just
elevate
came
you
to
in
my
all
mind.
situations, my love. That's why.
I would give her the ability to create other superpowers that she needs.
Where were you about 2 minutes ago with that?
Right.
So I was battling between that one and invisibility, but I thought that was going to come out, so you don't want to see me. So I was like, no, I want you all over me, fly all over the place.
That's right.
So,
There you go.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so after all the fun, we do have some more meaningful questions that we would like to ask you
Please.
to get to know more about what you do and a little bit more about Childhelp. So the first question is, what should people know about Childhelp?
Well, Childhelp is the nation's largest and oldest national nonprofit, as you mentioned earlier, dedicated to the prevention, intervention, and treatment of child abuse.
Yeah.
Now, it's a big sentence. Let me break that down a little bit.
Please do.
All right. So, Childhelp has two national programs. Our Childhelp National Child Abuse Hotline and our Childhelp Speak Up, Be Safe Prevention Education Curriculum. So I'll start with the hotline. The hotline is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now, this is the only hotline that operates anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, by master or doctoral degreed counselors. So you could have been a phone operator working on hotlines for years and years, but if you were not a professional counselor, this would not be a hotline that you would find yourself working on.
Right.
This hotline also has the ability to serve up to 170 different languages through interpreters.
Wow.
And
That's
has
awesome.
technology built into it to identify any community resource with a particular caller that is calling in crisis. And as a result of some support that we received a few years ago, the hotline has been able to expand to not only provide phone calls, but text and chat capabilities as well, which has been a huge input for us because now we're able to meet children in the mediums that they're most comfortable using. So the reason that I make note of that is because I want you to imagine, especially in America today, where you are either witnessing or experiencing abuse and trying to answer the question, is what I'm seeing abuse?
Yeah.
Is what I'm seeing harmful? And what are the ramifications if I'm wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
What do I do if I'm right? Right? These are challenges. Our counselors allow individuals in those particular situations to take the first step to answer those questions.
Yeah.
And if it truly is an abusive situation, then they link them with the community resources to intervene and protect children that are in crisis. And if it's not, then to educate and help that community understand what is and what is not abuse. Right? How do we make the hotline known? How do we make people aware of the hotline? Well, that's where we have Childhelp Speak Up, Be Safe. Now, this is the only prevention education curriculum on the market today designed to educate children from pre-K through high school on exactly what are the signs and symptoms of abuse. How do we distinguish what is an abusive situation and what is not? And then when we are beginning to connect what we are either witnessing or experiencing with what we are learning inside of this curriculum, then we have a professional counselor available to us 24 hours a day to help navigate the very next step. And that really is that 1-2 punch combination that distinguishes Childhelp from any other organization addressing child abuse, not just in America, but around the world today. Now, so what happens when a child actually experiences abuse? That's where Childhelp is the organization that pioneered and created the Multidisciplinary Advocacy Center. So Childhelp operates 2 advocacy centers. One is in Arizona, right here in Phoenix, and the other one is in Knoxville, Tennessee. I heard you guys talking about Tennessee earlier.
We're just in
It's right over there. Now, what our founders, Sarah O'Mara and Yvonne Feddersen, discovered when they first started tackling this subject matter 6 decades ago.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Right? They're phenomenal. Salt of the earth people.
Yeah.
We call them angels on earth, actually.
Yeah.
Is that every single time a child discloses that they've been abused, they are re-traumatized by having to tell that story again.
Over again, yeah.
Now, in most every community across America today, when a child discloses they've been abused, typically they're disclosing that to somebody they consider safe. And in most instances, that's an individual who has to report by mandatory reporting laws that abuse has happened. They're going to report that typically to some form of a law enforcement official who now has to come in and take that story again, meaning the child has to disclose their abuse again. And in certain situations where you need to bring in other legal professionals or medical professionals, etc., every single time a child is being re-traumatized.
They have to keep recounting.
Yeah, and
Keep
it's
recounting
more
stories,
traumatizing.
detail by detail. Now, from a
I can
legal
only
perspective, this becomes a defense attorney's dream, right?
Right.
Because now, every single time, it's like that telephone game. I tell you a story, then you tell Jeff a story, et cetera, et cetera. By the time it gets all the way across the room, the story has had minor variations here and there.
Right.
Different.
Defense attorneys typically are going to sit there and be like, well, you said that this happened to you here, but then later you told this individual this happened,
Yep.
and then later the story changed again. Now who's on trial?
Yeah.
Is it the person that has actually offended the child, or is the
Or the
child on
victim,
trial?
right.
Yep.
Right? That's what Childhelp cuts through.
Nice.
We sit there and
That's
say,
awesome.
no. We created a multidisciplinary center in which a child comes in, and every single professional that is designed to work around the advocation and the investigation of a child abuse case is under that roof, working together as a solid team.
That's awesome.
So, for example, here in Phoenix, you have got Childhelp in the same building as Phoenix Children's Hospital,
Right.
as Phoenix Child Crimes Unit for Phoenix PD, Maricopa County Attorney's Office, Office of Child Welfare Investigations, etc., all working together as one team. A child comes in a child-centric, friendly environment. So not
Yeah,
a
we've
sterile
seen it.
hospital,
Yep. Right, we've
not an
seen it.
intimidating police
Yeah, it's
station,
awesome.
right?
Wonderful. It's for the
Child-centric
kids.
advocacy center, exactly,
It is
designed for the kids.
Yeah.
A child comes in and they only have to tell their story once through audio and video recordings that are done with a team working right outside that investigation room and by a trained child forensic interviewer. That child tells their story one time, never re-traumatized again, and every professional working on the investigation and advocation of those services has that one story to use.
Yep.
What we have seen, significant reduction in the
Nice.
re-traumatization of child
That's awesome.
and significant increase in the prosecution of offenders.
Nice. Yes.
Awesome.
Like, where's the applause?
Well,
Yeah.
that's something that we get every single time we see a
Nice.
child rescued from an abusive situation and on a road towards recovery and healing. And that really is the applause that we look
Nice.
for.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, on both coasts, in California and Virginia on the East Coast, we operate 2 full-time 24-hour residential treatment facilities that we
Yeah.
call villages.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
We love the villages. Like,
got
we've been to both, and it's
They're amazing.
like, it's not just like a home. Like, it's a village. It's property, and the kids. Like, I don't know. There's you know more than I do. I mean, it's a home. It becomes a sanctuary.
I love that you use the word home because that is exactly what our founder, Sarah and Yvonne, aimed to create when they first started these villages and what we aim to make sure every child that comes onto that campus feels.
Yeah.
What you are going to see anytime you come into a Childhelp facility, any facility, from our administrative offices all the way into our villages, you are going to see a sign above every door that says, all who enter here will find
Find
love.
love.
Yes.
That's how we measure success. We measure success by, are the children here feeling love? Are they safe?
Right.
Are they healing? Are they advancing in a way that we aspire all children in this country to grow? Or are they still feeling horror and fear and trauma and danger? And
That's one of the things that drew us. There's a number of things that drew us to make this our favorite charity and love the ladies.
Yeah.
Is that the ladies, that they, hammer down and say, look, we're not going to give these children used items. We're not going to give them hand-me-down shorts. They come in
Because they've already feel like they've been used. and
yeah,
I
a lot
love
of the
that.
kids. Yeah, a lot of the kids don't feel like they're, they feel like they're hand-me-downs anyway, right?
Yeah.
But here's something new. This is for some of them. Some of the stories we've heard. This is the first time they've ever received anything new.
yes,
you know?
absolutely. There was a very unflattering phrase that children, when Childhelp first started, were called, which was throwaway children.
Yeah.
And in many ways, children who have experienced some of the worst forms of abuse that you can imagine, still to this day, that's how they feel. When they come onto a Childhelp campus, one of the things I love about our villages is every child that comes onto the village receives a brand new bike
Yes.
for them to be able to use. And you're
Yes.
talking,
Yeah.
our villages are 100 to 150 acres
Right.
of
Which is
open land for children to
amazing.
run
Right.
and play
Right.
and
Feel
explore
free.
and have adventures, right?
Right.
They also receive non-public school education so they don't fall behind in their studies.
Nice.
They're living in cottages that are designed to be homes. They eat off of china so that they can learn
Nice.
table manners and have real plates where they're serving meals and they're communing and eating together.
Yeah.
They have televisions, they have their own bed, they have their own closet, they have their own toys, they have their own clothes. Everything is designed for a child to have a childhood.
Yeah.
And that is what we aim to do. Now, on this campus, they receive every form of therapeutic service you can imagine, from traditional talk therapy, music therapy, art therapy,
Horse
animal-assisted
therapy.
equine
Yep,
therapy,
Yes.
absolutely. all there designed to help advance their healing. But what makes Childhelp unique? Any child born into life is unique in their own right. That's a unique life, a unique child.
Yeah.
And every child that enters any of Childhelp's programs and services are treated as such.
Nice.
We don't have a cookie cutter approach. It's not every child that comes in is going to get this treatment plan, receive this service. No. We take a look at what has been the experiences that the child has lived to this date, and what are our hopes and aspirations for them into the future.
Yeah.
And how do we help support them in achieving that? And that's what distinguishes Childhelp from any other organization.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, I love Childhelp, and everything that the advocacy centers and their villages are just amazing. And I know that has helped a lot of these children. And okay, so the next question is, I know that 2020 and the lockdowns and masks and social distancing has been very difficult for everyone. But how has COVID affected children?
Well, COVID has had a significant impact on the way children are experiencing day-to-day life. We are not seeing children in schools. We are not seeing children in recreational activities. We are not seeing children commune in ways that allow them to grow and experience and uncover what it is that brings them joy and enrichment in life.
Yeah.
What we also are experiencing, though, is that same plight is also happening to many adults throughout America as well. And in many cases, children who are living in abusive homes are finding themselves at home more with their abusers than they ever have been before. And they're in homes with abusers who are experiencing a level of stress and crises that is probably at a heightened point than it has been for them in any recent year. And that is a bad formula for a child who's in a dangerous situation. Now, with them not going to school and not participating in recreational activities, those safe adults that I was talking about earlier
aren't going to report because
they can't report because they're not with the children, and they're not seeing and experiencing what those children are coming to them to say and share. Now, what we have seen at Childhelp across the country, we have heard from a number of different local and community hotlines that have shared, we're seeing a reduction in calls coming on in. Mandatory reporters aren't calling in. Children aren't calling in because they're not together. Our hotline is seeing double-digit spike increases month over month.
That's crazy.
Prevention education, the various ways that we have made children and communities aware of our hotline has empowered children to understand, if I am not feeling safe or if I'm in a dangerous situation, I have a resource available to reach out to and connect. And that's really what I'm so thankful for you both for allowing me an opportunity to share with everyone today, is a platform to be able to say there is help available. There are people that will help you if you are experiencing it or you're witnessing and learning about it. There are people here that help navigate that process for you. We obviously are hoping that we can see, again, a decline in the number of children and calls coming in. But in the same turn, we're also grateful that people are finding, and children in particular, are finding the resources available. And we're seeing those spikes because that means that more children, more adults, more families are reaching out for help during this time.
Also, what is the number for the child abuse hotline? Because I know a lot of people would like to know that.
The hotline number is 1-800-4-A-CHILD.
Okay, I was just like, I know that. I was like, that is, right there. So 1-800-4-A-CHILD is something I was like, we need to address that, because I know that you guys are saying that is helping so many children right now, and I'm so grateful that it's out there, as even if, like, I know if you're not experiencing anything, or even just to text in to just ask any questions.
Ask completely anonymous. So you don't have to worry about anything. And I can't tell you how many times I love hearing when our counselors are redirecting a caller that's come in and it has not been an abusive situation. But I admire the strength and the courage that it takes to pick up that phone and ask. Because that is the step that we need everybody to own and take in order to make sure that children are safe in our communities across America.
I agree.
Well, speaking of communities, what are some of the things that the individuals can be doing that, not just kind of be aware and call the hotline? I know that you guys do fundraising, things like that, and there is a need to, put money, so that you guys can do what you do. But what are some of those more, whether it's a day-to-day or just kind of an awareness thing that
kids my age can be doing?
That an individual can do. But specifically, I know, like, we've had this conversation. What can the youth be doing my son, her brother talks about how, it's a lot easier to kind of talk amongst themselves, but they're not going to go and tell a parent, or they're not going to, those kinds of things. So anyway, it's a big, long question. The community, the individual, but specifically, what can the kids and youth be doing?
The biggest thing is to welcome each other into dialogue and conversation. Share with each other. Social media today, when I was younger, Nintendo was coming on out, right? And I remember sitting in front of a Nintendo system and, Super Mario, bing, 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 bing,
right.
jumping all over the place for fun, but there was no communication with anybody else.
Right.
I was a one-player game. I could be in my room for hours playing this thing, but I'm not being in any form of communication with anyone else.
Yeah.
Today's kids, your guys' gaming systems and streaming devices allow for the entire world to come in and for you to connect with the world.
Yes.
In some ways that could be a positive, in other ways that could be a real danger.
Yeah.
I admire the gaming system and the industry that is looking at more and more ways to protect children and allow children to be able to invite as well as remove players from certain games. And that's a big thing. But we want children to talk, to share, to feel comfortable reaching out and asking, are you okay? What I'm learning about in school and what I'm seeing happening to you, I'm drawing a parallel and a connection that I want to check in and make sure you're okay. And if they are okay, great. But if they're not, if there's a question, just a question, find the courage to share. Let's talk together. Let's reach out to the hotline together. Let's reach out to a counselor together. That's the easiest thing that I would ask for youth. If I were to take it up just a step, adopt the program. Adopt Childhelp, Speak Up, Be Safe to be into your school or to be into your athletic team or your dance studio or whatever the case may be. Speak with the powers that be. How do we make this curriculum a yearly program inside of our school? Now, the cost is very minimal. The cost for one student to receive the curriculum for one full year is $5. That's it. $5, and you can equip one student for an entire year.
That's awesome.
To do that. So if I'm at a school, right, and I've got 1,000 kids at this school, $5,000 a year is going to make sure that every single student in that school gets that curriculum. Nice. That's a student project. That's hey, can we as a student body, everybody chip in $5 to make sure that the underclassman that's coming into our seat next year, he or she is protected. Something like that. And in that curriculum is where there's posters and little, we call them niches that we give you bracelets, pens, etc. Yeah, swag. That always allow children to kind of reinforce, hey, this is the hotline number. This is who I call if I'm in support. So it's these these little subtle reminders throughout the school that are part of this program that allows children to constantly have that knowledge in front of them. This is what I do if I witness or experience something. When I was a kid, growing up in the Bay Area, San Jose, California, earthquake country, right? We knew, hey, if there was an earthquake, we got trained every single year. You're going right under your desk and you're covering, or you're going to the door frame, right? Forest fires everywhere. We had Smokey the Bear telling us only you can prevent forest fires. Knew it every single year, right? Stop, drop, and roll if there's a fire. I mean, we had all of these growing up.
That kind of training.
Right, these trainings every single year. So if the situation unfortunately happened, we knew exactly what to do. We want to take the exact same thing. We want youth to own that message today as it relates to bullying, trafficking, child abuse, all of the dangers. If we are going to be a society that is going to allow social media and live streaming and gaming systems an opportunity for predators to come on in, then we need to arm our children with the understanding of what to do if they witness or experience something that's inappropriate.
They're the ones on the front lines.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. and I feel like a lot of children, when they're in these situations, it's more harder to go talk to an adult. And sometimes, like, a friend is the best thing that you can have, or a teacher, or someone who feels safe, because just say the adult is the person that's doing it, is you've got your friends and you've got these children. If these other kids know what to do, then I feel like that is more helpful.
Exactly, so. Powers and numbers. And that's one thing I will give this up and coming generation is you really are that generation that is willing to rally together. You guys are willing to rally together and vocalize, we don't agree with this, we don't like that. Love it, do it. Go out there and stand your ground and ask your questions and advocate for the things that mean the most to you, that are important to you. but I'm asking for child safety to be included in that. I'm asking if you see a child or a friend or a stranger being bullied, stand up as a group together.
Do something.
Empower that individual to not have to go through the horrors and the trauma and the abuse of that situation, and know that there's power in numbers. You guys are demonstrating that on a daily basis in this country.
That's right.
That's a good thing. Good for you.
Right.
Well,
That's
thank
right.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
So
we've got one last and final.
Yeah,
Last final question.
Thank you for everything that you've done for Childhelp, and we appreciate it. But I do have one question for you. One question is, what is your final message you'd like to leave with us and everyone who's watching?
My final message that I want to leave with you is thank you.
Thank you.
I am so appreciative that you have created a platform like this to be able to promote a message and a mission like Childhelp. Everything that I shared with you all, Childhelp's got 2 national programs, but the reality of the situation is most people are not familiar with who Childhelp is. Yeah. We are a nonprofit organization in which, on one end, we're really proud. More than 85 cents of every donated dollar to Childhelp goes directly into our programs and services.
That's amazing.
A lot of the things that I shared with you all about what I love about Childhelp and what I think distinguishes Childhelp from any other organization are things that we have to support through fundraising. We don't have products that we sell. We don't get a lot of government reimbursement to support those elements that really distinguish our programs and services from others, but that we know have such a tangible and valuable impact on rescuing children. But that also means we don't have a lot of financial resources to help spread the word, and a lot of financial resources to make more people aware of not just what this epidemic looks like. And 5 children dying every day in this country, don't get that wrong. That's an epidemic.
No, it's
okay?
Huge.
We don't have a whole lot of resources to make people aware of that epidemic, and we don't have a whole lot of resources to constantly fight that epidemic. So an opportunity to be able to make people a little bit more aware of a subject matter that really isn't all that easy to talk about and to think about and to share. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And for your audience and for those that follow and for those that are taking this message and want to know more about what we do and what they can do to be a part of it, visit us at childhelp.org. You'll learn a lot about our programs and services. Reach out to me, my team directly. We don't sleep. We literally don't sleep. We work on this 24 hours a day because we know anytime a child is in danger and in need, we want to get in there as fast as we can and rescue them from that. So,
well, I appreciate that. Thank you for doing all that you do and for Childhelp, and we appreciate it. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being our guest.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Thank you.
It's been my honor. Really.
I know we've talked about some other topics, and we'd love to have you back as a guest in a future episode.
Thank you so much. I'd love to be a part of it. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Michael.